Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. Okay. I don't see anything else right now.
None, I would think it could be done.
Okay. Oh, proposed ranking of requests for proposed website redesign project. We could do that.
That's an easy one too.
Yeah, we could do that one too.
Yeah. Well, let's do 6, and then we'll look at 9 if we still have time. Okay. The proposed ranking for the response to request for proposal for the website redesign project.
Can I just chat with Mr. Thomas a second? Mr. Thomas, I looked at what you said, and what I didn't realize in talking with Mr. Culley about the website that I think we all need to be aware of is that the current website that we have is not viewable on anything but a computer. It is not viewable on any phone. If you go to look at it,
Well,
it
is viewable.
It's viewable, but it's
not
difficult
workable.
at best.
Right, right. And Mr. Seeley has hit on what is the key point of this whole project is what we're trying to do is provide better service to the citizens. We haven't gotten internet out to everybody, but almost everybody has a smartphone. So being able to have access to the county website from your smartphone is a big benefit for citizens. So I think we're really ready to move forward. I sat in on all the ranking or all the selection meetings.
I guess my only concern is could we go with a commercial product instead of a proprietary product? And I'll let Mr. Culley answer that. I know he and I talked about it, and there were some pros and cons. So I'd like to hear those, actually.
Well, obviously, the open source products are available to do websites. The firm that we've ranked, Civic Plus, and along with the second most ranked, Civic Live, both have proprietary systems, but both do local government websites almost entirely. I mean, Civic Plus, that's all they do. They have 1,800 websites in the country that are local government and 50 in the state of Virginia. So they push out updates to the proprietary system on a regular basis, sometimes weekly, as different users from all these local governments say, hey, we'd like to have this feature, we see a need in this. So it provides us with the opportunity not to have to figure out what we need, but use their expertise that they've working with all these other localities all around the nation for just delivering local government-based internet type service. So that we felt that that was actually a plus. We will be able to do a lot of things that we currently can't do, online registration for Parks and Rec, those type of things that make it more convenient for folks to do business with the local government than what we currently have. Plus the look and feel of the site by being just immediately scalable, no matter whether you're on a tablet, a smartphone, or on a computer, a big monitor, a little monitor, whatever you're on, automatically. User doesn't have to do anything. Those are just some really powerful features. It has the security where we can segregate off parts of this system so that the sheriff's office will have a administrator, and their look and feel of their site will still be Caroline County. When you're on it, you'll know that you're still on Caroline County. But the content that's put out there, the sheriff will be in charge of that content. The county will be in charge of our content. The schools can be in charge of their content. And with various users having the level of security to, some people can address various things on a page, some people, the overall administrator, that type of thing. So it provides a robust platform that we currently just do not have. That while open source works, I think on the scale that we're looking to try to do, the proprietary content management system, which is really what we're talking about, designed just by and for local government is the way to go. And I think that's what's been found sort of nationwide. I mean, and even the open source people weren't any cheaper on what they were proposing for us. The people that were proposing to design our website that were using an open source back end, so to speak, behind the scenes, weren't any cheaper than what these folks were on maintenance or on the product.
Yeah, and the reality is, even if it's a proprietary system, it's really the engine behind the content management system. So we'll have our content out there. If something disastrous happens to that company, we would still be able to replace that particular engine. So, we're using, it's not VHS versus beta, one or the other. this is a case where you can still move forward because it is basically an open system. You know, it's their developed system, but it's still basically the same system. And it was a lot cheaper, and I have to say I was impressed by the presentation. And I know it was just a demo, but I was impressed. So,
Okay, so what we need to do is approve the presented ranking.
if it's appropriate for me to make a motion for the ranking, I would move that we rank Civic Plus as our #1 ranked company, and after we do that, we can set up internal demos so the rest of the county can see what we're going to do.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we would rank Civic Plus as our #1 proposal. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And once we do that, then we will look at the others if necessary.
If they fail under
Right.
any circumstances, then we'll go to the next one.
Right,
But
right.
we don't expect them to fail.
Okay, and I don't either, but, okay. All right, if we can look at #9, proposed improvements to the park at former Ladysmith Elementary School. Are there questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure we get an agreement in place before we, and I mean something locked down. That's my only concern is I'd hate to see us spend the funds and then they decide they need it as a school and we sort of get edged out of there.
With the discussion we had at the board meeting or at the 2-on-2 meeting, they fully understood that we wanted a memorandum of understanding as to what we were going to be able to do and the length of time we were going to be able to do it before any improvements, and they've indicated, and I don't know whether you've had further discussions.
Forward, but we will.
Yeah, from that point. My only question would be, and I guess Joey's put these numbers together? You put these numbers together. Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Certainly, go ahead.
What would be the difference in the price of paving that track that we've talked about?
I could work that up for you.
I just,
I'm sorry?
no, it doesn't have to be blue. Black is fine. I mean, yeah, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, I know over the years, there's constant, it's a lorry in certain spots, and it gets mud holes, and people have to walk. I mean, if you're going to make it so it's going to be a secondary park for the people over there, then I think we need to make it so that they can enjoy it year-round and at all times. And I don't believe it's going to be that much more expensive in putting a pavement down as to putting those cinders in and keeping those smoothed out and the holes refilled and all of those over a longer period of time.
Yeah, we can look at that. I just want to check the base to make sure that we don't have to do any base work to be able to hold that. Last thing I want to do is spend the money to do that and then it breaks up, but we can definitely look at that and come back to with the board.
And you may have to do some base work, because I know that there are some low spots and some muddy spots in the track now.
But we can come back in 2 weeks and give you an update on that.
Would you want to wait for 2 weeks to approve it?
I think we can approve this. The only thing I would like to do is, if it's not going to be a tremendous amount of money difference, then I would certainly like to see the board come back and to agree to put a paved track there rather than having the stone there. Because, I mean, people have complained to me over the years, you know, they've stepped on a larger stone and they've twisted their ankle and done those type of things.
And when you get into weather like this, it does make it a lot of maintenance because it becomes very soft. So that creates more issues. And just like the Dawn track, we've got problems down there. You know, we had to update that last year. And every year, as soon as the weather breaks and spring gets here, as soon as we can get on them, we've got to upgrade the tracks each year.
Yeah, I think over the long period, it very well may be to the advantage to do something.
Do you have a question? Do you have a question, Mr. Underwood? No. Other board members?
Are we asking the school board for something? I mean, do we have something in writing from them first, or?
Yeah, I would think that we need to get
we get something in writing from them.
No, that's what I've got in here. No improvements authorized by the board will be made until the MOU has been finalized
Right, okay.
and approved by both boards.
Okay.
So that MOU will come back to you as well as be approved by the school board before we would ever spend any funds. I think we were just trying to move this project sort of, and we're committed, and we can go to them with, hey, we're committed to do this. Let's work out the long-term MOU. But you'll get a chance to vote on that. We won't spend any money. until such time.
Okay. They might be, I'm not.
So we'll have it at least a month before we can get any approval of the MOU.
I think what we're trying to do is just approve to show that we're
Right.
serious about wanting to do this. We're not going to spend any money until we get the memograph of understanding, and that has to come back to us as well. So it's up to the board. A motion is in order.
I would hope the school board, I would hope that the two members of the school board have talked to their board members, because they indicated a willingness and a desire for this to happen, and they indicated, yes, we will agree to it.
And my understanding is that has already happened. I don't
Okay.
have anything in writing, but,
Okay,
you know,
okay,
okay. So
okay.
a motion is in order?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. This is something that's desperate for the western side of the county. I mean, it's pretty bad when you go over and practice on the softball field and you're almost losing an ankle because it's full of ruts and so forth. So it's definitely something that's needed in the western part of the county. So I would like to make a motion that we approve the spending of $36,160 for park improvements on the western side of Caroline County in the current park now, because parks are desperately needed.
I second that, but
And
can we
evacuate
take out the
and-
amount? Can we take out the amount? Because if we pave it, it's going to certainly be more than $36,000. It may be $40,000.
Do we want to say not to exceed a certain amount?
Well,
No, you're saying, you're saying now you want to do it.
absolutely, that's what I'm
And
saying.
we're going to have to get the figures back by the time we get the MOU. So we're
Right,
going to have
I'm
a
saying-
chance to say, yes, let's up it to 40,000, whatever it is. Because you
not
still have to
exceed?
look at the track.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is, we know what's in here is what we're going to do. I just don't know the dollar figures. If we say $36,000 and we start to do the work, it may cost a little bit more in certain areas here. His numbers are estimates. Then I don't know that they are rock solid. So it may be better just to leave the number out and say, we're in agreement to make these improvements to the park area over there.
Let's do it not to exceed, because we're not going to spend $500,000 on the park.
No. And if it gets to more, because it has to be approved. We are not going to spend anything until it's approved.
Y'all could just approve the proposal subject to an acceptable MOU, which would contain the pricing.
That
Yeah.
takes the numbers out altogether,
Okay.
and then when we get the MOU, we'll actually figure out how much money we put in.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Mr. Black, would you be willing to add?
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion so that way it's, what are we doing?
Just take out the 36,000.
We're just taking out $36,000, subject to the MOU, yes.
Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and properly second that we would approve the improvements to the park, former Ladysmith Elementary, subject to the memograph of understanding. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. I think
Capital
that's-
projects.
I think that's about all we can do.
How about capital projects?
Well, you're coming back at 7:30, and I mean, it's 7:05 now. Y'all don't want to break?
It should take 2
Uh,
minutes. 2 minutes tells we take.
For number 8?
Number 10.
Oh, okay, calendar items, okay. We'll just look at calendar items real quickly. Go ahead, Mr. Cully.
So we gave you a monthly capital projects update. Radio system is 79.2% complete, and tonight we approved the last lease, so we can finally get the rest of the equipment installed. Equipment's being installed at Corbin, weather permitting. So we're down to really just the two spots, Sparta and Stars State Police, to finish up that system.
But we still can't test until June?
It'd be in,
When it's
yeah,
full foliage?
Yeah. And we still have to do the actual communication center. The equipment's got to be installed there as well. The tower sites are finally coming in, so they were what was holding us up. You can see the rest of the project's pretty much the same. We're still working on the courthouse security upgrade. We hope to finalize that and get that done this year. I really haven't spent anything on any of the others. On the calendar, come on, computer slow. We do have our next regular meeting. We have the annual meeting with the Farm Bureau on Tuesday the 17th at Port Royal, and I assume you need to let Pam know of your availability to attend that. That's 6:30 to 8:30 on the 17th. On Friday the 20th, we've been invited to the Project Faith Angelwood celebration, and Bowling Green Town Hall. You should have gotten an invitation for that. Next regular board meeting, the 24th. And Mr. Seeley has you have a community meeting at Salem on the 26th, 6 o'clock. April's pretty quiet so far, except we do have the next board meeting on the 14th, and then the Benzer courtroom dedication on Saturday the 18th. That is scheduled, and that's at 2 p.m. So please mark your calendar for that.
Okay. All right. We will now recess until 7:30, which we will come back with our public hearings at 7:30. Board members, we will now reconvene the March 19th, 2015 Board of Supervisors meeting, and that takes us to the public comment section of our agenda. The public comment section of the agenda is reserved for any citizen who would like to address the board on any issue that is not a public hearing. If there is an issue that citizens would like to address the board, you may feel free to come at this time. If you would like to address the board, we ask that you come, state your name, as well as your voting district, if it's applicable, and we ask that you would keep your comments to 3 minutes. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Anyone who would like to address the board, you may come forward at this time. Anyone wishing to address the board on any issue that's not a public hearing, you may come forth at this time.
My name is Myrna Satterwhite.
Good evening.
Good evening. And I live in the Mattaponi district. And I wish to say a belated thank you to the board for voting down on January the 13th the landfill proposal, but it has not gone away. Mr. Farrell is still about his business, and I don't know what will become of it, but it's a sad situation, a bad situation. But I do appreciate your vote at that last other meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Satterwhite. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board at this time?
Hello, I'm
evening.
Pam Chenault.
Chenault.
I live in Dawn in the Reedy Church District. We have a business, a sawmill business in the Mattaponi District. I was born on the western side of the county, so I have ties to Jeff, have lots of family over there, went to County Line Church. I was in the Reedy Church District until the redistricting a few years ago for 39 years. I was raised in Ladysmith, so I have title. Mr. Akers here. I'm now in the Bowling Green District with Jeff, and I lived in Port Royal. I lived on the river for a little while too, and enjoy Hicks Landing, so I have ties to all of you. I'm a little late, but I just wanted to thank you for not amending the text to allow a special exception for the landfill. It means a lot to our community, and we are so proud of y'all. I know you don't usually get thank yous, but I'm thanking you for that. I thank you. And I'm very confident that this would have been your decision anyway, had we not been so vocal. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board at this time? Is there anyone else who would like to address the board at this time? Seeing no one with the intention to speak, I will declare the public hearing closed. I'm sorry, the public comment section closed. That takes us to agenda item number 4, public hearings, a proposed amendment of Chapter 5, Section 5-5 of the Code of Caroline County, location of polling place, to consider relocating the Dawn polling place. Are there questions or concerns from the board before opening the public hearing? If not, I will open the public hearing at this time for the amendment of Chapter 5, Section 5, Code of Caroline, location of polling places, to reconsider or to consider relocating the Dawn polling place. Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding this public hearing? Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding this public hearing?
Good evening, John Nunley, Chairman of the Electoral Board.
Yes, sir.
And we sent forth this for your consideration. In your packet, I think our reasons have been laid out. This all at the last election, it got to the point where we couldn't even secure the building to lock up our equipment. And the sheriff and the director of public works had to go down at midnight and collect our equipment so we could keep it safe for that night. So we felt that it's just no longer a safe location to have the polling there. So I'll be willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, what I will do is close the public hearing. I'll give other persons a chance to speak, and if there are none, then I will close the public hearing, and then I will give board members an opportunity to ask questions.
Very good. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding this public hearing?
Hi, good evening. I'm Maureen Dorsinski, the director of the Caroline Library, and I would just like to say that I think it's a fantastic idea to move the polling place to the Dawn Library. Not only is it a clean, new facility, that it will benefit both parties, as the library now, it's kind of a little slow, you know, not always as busy as maybe the Ladysmith branch. So it will be a great publicity for the new library, as not many people in the area really know and have had a chance to go to the new library and experience it. We have a wonderful meeting room that's able to be secured. We can secure the library so we will, patrons, or I'm sorry, voters won't be roaming through the library. However, we can secure those doors so the meeting room is accessible just for the voters, and the lobby can be set up in a pleasing manner. There's restrooms and water fountain, and everything that they need we can provide. There's even a board member that lives, two board members live very close by the library, have keys and alarm codes, and there shouldn't be any problems. And I think it's beneficial to both parties. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
and if there are, we will entertain them at the closing of the public hearing. All right. Are there other persons who would like to speak regarding this public hearing?
Once again, Pam Chenault, and I'm in the Bowling Green District. I had the pleasure of working at the Dawn facility on my at the last polls before last. And I have to admit, the logistics of laying things out, trying to find an outlet that was convenient so that the constituents, the voters didn't have to step over wires, you know, to get to where they wanted to be. If it was cold outside, it was cold inside. And if it was hot outside, it was hot inside too. So it was very uncomfortable in that location. So I agree. I think it would be a wonderful idea for it to be moved to the Caroline Library.
Thank you. Are there other persons who would like to speak regarding this public hearing? Are there other citizens who would like to speak regarding this public hearing? Last opportunity. Are there other citizens who would like to speak regarding this public hearing? Seeing no one else with the desire to speak, I will declare this public hearing closed. And I will ask if board members have comments or questions. Mr. Underwood, this is your district. I don't know if you have a concern or question.
I do have a couple of questions. Major Mosier, in terms of ingress, egress into the Dawn Library, I guess last election, I'm not sure how many people voted, but several hundred, I think probably 500 to 700. Any issue with ingress, egress into that? If there's one lane coming in, one lane coming out, do you foresee any issue there with voting?
There could be an issue, and if required, we could have somebody there to assist with the traffic. If it becomes an issue, or if you think it is an issue, we could do that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you. Second question is for, is it Maureen? I'm sorry. Yes. This is the square footage of the room for voting at the library, the space you're talking about. What's the square
meeting
footage?
room?
Yes, that square footage. What's the square footage there?
Well, I can kind of eyeball it. It's about
10 by 12 at the most.
Right.
from here to there to the wall.
Right.
Kind of. It might be a little bit over. There's also a kitchen facility in there.
Right. I'm familiar with that. I just want you to give me the square footage, if you know it roughly. If you don't know it, that's fine.
I'm sorry. Kevin, would you get out of
That's okay. I think it's roughly 10 by 20 or 10 by 15.
12 by 20.
Yes. Okay. And so you feel there's enough space in there for voting machines? As well, you have one door coming in, is that correct?
Yes, and when
And
we met 2 months ago, they described the area, and they had a site visit before we had a meeting, and the electoral board was confident that there was room enough. They did ask me about parking, and there is a area to, when you pull into the library, there's parking on either side, and then there's a vacant area, and that is owned by Crystal Roselle, and she would be fine with people parking there.
Right.
The only concern, which is very, very minor, is if it is a severe storm, sometimes it gets a little soggy, but then you could park in front, and that would be okay.
I'm familiar with the library. I've been in there several times.
But that's the only concerns that the committee had raised to me, and I just want to say that, yes, Crystal said that land is absolutely fine to use for parking.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. D.
Are you finished?
I just wanted to ask, I was finished with, you going to ask?
I just need
I'm
to ask
so
one
sorry.
question.
I'm sorry.
Now,
I need to ask the board.
as I come into the library, you're talking about the room immediately to the left.
Yes,
That's
That's
correct.
the first conference room.
That's
that's the
okay.
only conference room, yes.
The only, okay.
Just, okay.
That's not 10 by 20.
No, it's about 10 by 15, 10 by 12.
Yeah.
Not very big.
I
Okay.
was in there with 10 people, and it was comfortable. So I'm just wondering, when you get 20 in there trying to vote. But okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, I mean, I leave that up to the committee. They know the size of the machines, and they thought, after their tour, that it would be adequate for their needs.
Yeah. I know.
Maybe, maybe my guesstimation was not perfect, but that.
It was not. I used it.
Yeah. For that, I apologize.
You had 1,700 people vote at that precinct in 2012.
I've used it. Okay.
Other
I was going to
questions?
ask, that's 1,700?
1,700 voted in 2012.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. How does the board wish to address this issue?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple concerns. Number one, I don't think it's, I'm kind of in agreement that we may need to look at additional space, and I think the Board of Electors has looked at different space, but I don't think although the Dawn Library is a very nice facility, the room is just absolutely too small for voting, from my opinion. Looking at there, and I've had constituent meetings there, and I actually stopped having constituent meetings there, because when you get 10 people in the room, it's too small. So we're trying to put 4, I believe 3 or 4 machines, just one voting machine, into that. I think there's a problem with ingress, egress, not only into the building, but as well as into the facility. So I understand their concerns, but I wish we had been able to maybe start addressing this early on, rather than 6 months before an election, or 7 months.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
I'm just waiting to see if, and I will. Other board members have questions? Okay, sir.
He may be better able to address it than I am. But I am in support, but either way, we can.
The way we looked at it, I guess maybe this will make more sense. Essentially, the election is based in 3 different areas. So we have a chief's table where they do the paperwork. That's going to be set up in the library proper. We have the poll books where you check in and receive your ballot. We're going to set that up in the lobby. So you walk in, you immediately will see the poll books, get checked in, receive your ballot, and then the tables to mark your ballots and the actual voting machine. And now with the optical scan, of course, that goes much quicker than the touchscreen that we had in years past. So that will be located in the room. So really the only people that will be in there will be the ones marking their ballots, and then they'll go and vote. So it's not like we're putting the whole, like at the Progressive Center, we had everything in one room. We're actually dividing into 3 different rooms. So it does expand that space.
How many polling places do you have in Reedy Church?
In Reedy Church?
Yeah.
2.
So you'll have this polling place, and then you'll have an additional polling place.
Carmel School, yes.
Carmel School. Okay. Okay.
It's a long area.
I guess my point is, I want to do what's best for the citizens. I certainly want all citizens to be able to vote and to vote comfortably, and we want to provide as much space as we can in a facility that meets the needs. The Board of Elections, that's what they do. They look at polling places, they determine what's effective based on their experiences and what's needed. And I hear them saying that they feel that this move is a positive move and is a move that's going to help to address some issues. I hear Mr. Underwood's concern as far as space is concerned and egress and coming in and out of the facility. Certainly the Sheriff's Department probably could address that pretty much, since we're only talking about one day. I'm sure they could put people there, and maybe that could be addressed. So I guess what we have to determine is, as a board, what is the best way to address the issue? Are we going to, if we move to the new place, even though there may be some concerns, do they outweigh the concerns of the old polling place? If we feel that they do, then it's sort of a no-brainer. If we feel that we're going to create more issues than the issues that we have, then I guess we have to stay where we are. But I hear the Board of Elections plainly saying that this is a better answer. This provides a better situation, even though it may not be perfect. So it's up to the board. Did you have something else?
I did. Just, you brought up 2 important items. Obviously, we are looking for what's best for the citizens of Caroline, but another big concern of ours is security, because the security of that vote is sacred. And if we can't make sure that the machines and the equipment is secure, if we were to have a recount or a revote, we need to know that that equipment's been secure. And the other item that you talked about egress, in the past, even where it is now, we have worked with VDOT to put up mobile signs warning people of traffic coming into the highway, because we have the same problem on Route 30 as we were going to have on Route 2.
So help me out here, because I think you kind of confused me now.
Okay.
Once the election is over, what happens to the machines?
They get locked up into the cage, and then they're locked up in a room, and then Public Works picks them up the next day.
So they're locked in the, I guess, that back room at Dawn Progressive, in that little room where the chairs are, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not exactly sure where at Dawn they're locked up.
Help me, somebody. Somebody should know. I mean, help me. Who's the chief? Can you come forward? Good evening.
My name is Liddell Rollins.
Yes, Ms. Frank.
And I'm the chief at the Reedy Church Precinct.
Yes, ma'am.
When the election is over, everything is secured in the cages, and the cages are locked and left in the polling area, in that big room.
Right,
Everything is in one room, yes,
In a cage.
in the cages.
And then the next morning, Public Works picks them up. Is that
That's
what-
correct.
That's correct. Okay.
Last year,
Right.
we had a problem because when I tried to secure the door, when I locked the door, I just happened to pull on it to make sure that it was locked. And the door just popped open. So I couldn't secure the door, so I ended up calling the registrar's office to let them know that I was having problem locking the doors. So they sent the officer down there with me, stayed with me until Public Works came to pick up the cages that night. I wasn't going to leave them like that, unlocked, unsecured. That was one of the problems we had.
So do we know if the same problem exists? Was it a?
I don't know if
issue?
it was a one-time thing or not, because I don't know.
See, the issue that I have is that I've been voting there every year for the last 36
Well, I
years.
have too, ever
So,
since.
right, so for me now to hear of issues in the 9th hour prior to November concerns, and I've had some other folks call who didn't want to come, so I just said I would voice the question. Some people say, I've heard from the Board of Electors that it's an issue, but I just don't think that people felt it was that major of an issue. I wish we had addressed it prior to now. That's my concern. I kind of feel like the horse may be halfway out of the barn. Not all the way. but
Well,
just-
for me, it was just that one-time thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but,
So other than the door not locking the one time, can we speak to other issues that you feel? I know someone said, Ms. Fennell said
I know
she looked
we
for
had,
a plug for electricity
yeah.
at one time.
One of our machine went down because the outlet in the wall, I guess it lost its power or whatever. So we had to relocate it to another area of the room. Those were the only two problems that we had that particular voting night.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you, Ms. Rowe.
You're welcome.
Other comments from the election, Board of Election, or from the board?
I have a question. The actual building belongs to the Dawn Progressive Association?
I believe it does.
And not which is a private entity, even though it's quasi-county. So have you spoken to anybody at the Dawn Progressive Association about the facility?
I did speak to to Mrs. Fields, Irene Fields.
Oh, okay.
About it, about some of the concerns that we had. And she mentioned that they hadn't been brought to her. And she did say the issue with the door has been corrected.
Oh,
She
it has
did
been.
tell me that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So basically, then the other issue is probably the wiring, I guess, to ensure that you have power to one machine, 4 machines, how many machines now, if you're in the same place?
I think the building official can speak to, I think it's pretty well known, the shape of that building.
Well, that wasn't my question. My question was, the need for electricity is for 1 machine, 2 machines, 3 machines, 4 machines.
It'll be 4.
4.
One voting machine, 3 computers.
1 voting machine and 3 computers.
Yes.
And those are the ones from the registrar's desk, is that right? The other 3 computers are?
It'd be 3 poll books where you check in.
3 poll books, right.
And then 1 voting machine.
Right, okay. That's what I'm trying, okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay.
How many outlets are in that room? How many outlets are in that room? I've never used a plug there. I know it's 1 because I saw a computer show.
Best of my recollection, there's 2 per wall.
Just a minute.
Oh, Mrs. Rollins is pointing.
Yeah.
4?
2 per wall. But
4
not all of
outlets.
them work.
Not all of them work?
Not all of them work. So
Okay, but if
we're
you-
having to take extension cords across rooms to power different things.
Okay.
Okay, I think what we as a board must determine what is best, as I said, for the citizens. I hear the Board of Elections obviously saying that they feel that the move is certainly best, it's in their opinion. I hear Mr. Underwood saying that he has questions and that I guess citizens have spoken with him and they have concerns about the polling place being moved simply because it's been there so long. People are comfortable going there to vote. They think of it as their voting precinct. And I think and I'm not speaking for Mr. Underwood, but I think what he's concerned about is that it will lessen the vote. People won't go to the new place. And I don't know that that's the case or not. I guess you'd have to move it to find out. But people have strange reasons for not voting. At any rate, at this point, we as a board have to make a determination as to what we're going to do in this situation. I think we've heard both sides of the issue, and we just have to determine whether the move is going to be best or whether to address the issues that are being talked about and keep it where it is. So it's up to the board.
Mr. Chairman, when this issue first came about, members of the Board of Elections was not here, so I wanted to put it on the table so it could be discussed in an open forum without me unilaterally saying no and be the only voice heard. Certainly I wanted to hear from them, but I've also heard from other folks that have been able to make phone calls in the meantime to find out, because I needed to educate myself as well. So there are some concerns, so I'll leave it right there at this point for a vote.
At this stage, I was
I guess I have a question, Mr. Taylor. We built the library 5 or 6 years ago because everybody said they needed a new facility in Dawn. So we have a new facility in Dawn, and now what I'm hearing is we know there are problems in the Dawn Progressive Center. The HVAC, there's problems with heating and cooling. That's what I've heard from folks on the electoral board. That's what I've heard from folks that were in the Progressive Center during the elections. And I'm hearing ingress, egress at the library, but we have the same ingress, egress on Route 30, probably even more so with trucks. You've got plugs that don't work. I mean, extension cords across the floor. I thought we built the library to facilitate the community. And I was hoping that this would facilitate the community. It's a new building. It's got parking. It's got upgraded everything.
I'm gonna put in my opinion, and, you know, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Seeley, and you're right.